Hi, everybody. I figured it would be easier for me to do this with no one else in the classroom because we've had a lot of stop and start time. So I can do this in a little bit more compacted to walk you through today. We're using this data sheet to help to go through your results on the multiple choice from the mock exam. This is all found in AP Classroom. So it may be helpful to have 3 tabs open as we're working. One tab has this document. A second tab has today's Canvas page. Maybe you need more than 3 tabs. And the third tab has AP Classroom opened and ready to go. What we're going to do checks in AP Classroom. And so each progress check has multiple sections or passages to it. So for example, Unit 7's progress check, the first one, has 3 different passages. So I'm going to skip over and show you an AP Classroom window that shows Unit 7's progress check. When you log in, the first thing it's going to show you is the skill categories and skills tab. To the right of it, there's one that says questions. This is going to help you out a little bit more to start here. You will notice that each question has Q1, then has a tag on it. Here it says mechanically, and then says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then there's a 6 below it. There are 6 questions in this first passage. And we can see what type of passage it is by going over here and clicking. This will show us the passage and the question. And we see here that this passage is excerpted from an essay published in 2013. So if we go back to our data sheet, what we want to fill out here is there are 6 total questions on passage 1. It is an essay. We may want to add that it's a 21st century essay. That may help you out a little more to figure out strengths and weaknesses later. And then we want to add up out of those 6 questions, how many did you get correct? You want to move through all the unit checks. Now, I screwed up and I put too many in Unit 8. I'm not perfect. It's okay. You can make it work. We want to figure out how many did you get correct total. That total number is going to go here. It's out of 45. AP has said that the Lang test has 45 multiple choice questions that are done in an hour. So we know what we're up against here, and we want to see performance-wise, how did we do? This just lets us pull apart to see how we did by each passage. This can help to see some trends. Do you tend to do better on old passages or new passages? Do you do better on speeches, essays, articles? What do you notice? Any of that data can be helpful because we can take this test in whatever order we choose. Just because question 1 is the first one doesn't mean we have to do question 1 first. We can open that test booklet and do it in any order. And the multiple choice portion is all about score accumulation. Once you've gotten all of this together to figure out how many total did you get right and how many did you get right in each section, we now can turn our attention here to this score calculator. This is linked on today's Canvas page. College Board has told us that roughly 45% of your grade is determined by the multiple choice and 55% based on the essay. We know that each essay is worth 6 points based on the rubrics that we've looked at through the year. College Board has also said in the multiple choice, they're going to split it between reading and writing questions. Now, our progress checks are not split the same way. So what I need you to do is to look here and take your total number of multiple choice and basically make it work. So if you got 34 correct, don't be afraid to pop this one to 20 and this one to 14, and we move on. To get our essay scores in Canvas, when you click the grade tab, you will see that each essay is in there. And when you click each essay, on the top right of that page is the rubric for grading. Our rubrics are based a little different. I give up to 5 points on the thesis, but if you scored a 3, a 4, or a 5 on that thesis point, you got the point according to College Board. So that's point number 1 out of 6. When you look at row B, which is evidence and commentary, that's worth 4 points. And our 6 point comes from the sophistication point. So all those are laid out on the rubric. You can figure out using the rubrics in Canvas how many points you earned out of 6 and adjust there. This will then tell you what's your predicted AP score. Now, this is a guess and it's a prediction. It's not concrete. College Board in the past has produced documentation to show us how they crunch numbers on exams. Because of the change implemented last year on these 6-point rubrics and on the multiple choice, we don't have that documentation yet. So we're guessing here on performance. This gives you an idea of, hey, at this point in the course, how did you do? Don't get too confident. Remember, we took this over 5 days as opposed to 5 hours. On the normal AP test, you'd be taking this thing in 5 hours, less than that. But still, you had a break each day. You came and you just did that chunk. So your performance may not be perfectly aligned here. This is also a guess because on the AP exams, you are competing against everyone else taking the test. If they perform at a higher level, you need to perform at a higher level as well. Once we have this data in, one thing I want to illustrate for a second, I'm going to kind of move some things here with it. You will notice that on the multiple choice right now, this student has scored 22 out of 45 correct. That is less than half that they got right on the multiple choice. If we adjust these, if you look at how the sliders are, this student has earned 2 3s and a 4, meaning that they have probably on question 1 here gotten the thesis point and 2 points on row B for evidence and commentary. Same thing here for question 2. And question 3, they probably got 3 out of 4 on row B. But you'll notice that their predicted AP score is a 3. That means this student would get college credit for this test. That's really fair to you as a student. But if you notice, we don't have a whole lot of wiggle room. If I take this score on question 3 from a 4 to a 3, that student has now scored a 2. And so just that 1 point can make a difference between you getting college credit and you not getting college credit. One thing that we've talked about all year is that your aim, your goal should be roughly 60% of the multiple choice correct. So if we bump this up so that this student now has 27 correct out of 45, that's closer to 60%. It's not perfect, but it's closer. We now could move this and go, look, now all of a sudden, because you've gotten those extra multiple choice right, your score still stays at a 3. Even if we go here, we could slide down just for the sake of it. And notice we don't have any more wiggle room. That is the lowest that you can go on this, is getting 3 out of 6 points, if you can get the 60% here. So what does that tell you? It tells you that there's a lot of space for you to get the college credit. And if you're wondering how that works, you can pick a university that you're interested in attending, like University of Texas at Arlington or University of Texas at Dallas. Google that school and also add the phrase AP credit. And up will pop a page like this that shows you, hey, what does a student need to get in order to receive college credit at our university? Even though both are University of Texas schools, they do give different amounts of credit based on AP performance. So here, if we look, in order to actually get a English class credit at University of Texas at Dallas, you have to score a 4 or a 5. Over here, as long as you score a 3, you get actual English credit. You also notice that if you can score a 5 here at the University of Texas at Arlington, they will give you 2 English classes, whereas UT Dallas will only give you 1 English class. That's a huge difference. And so if you're looking economically, you may want to make the choice of what school you go to based on how much credit they're willing to give you. And that does differ school to school. Once we have this overall data on how you did and on performance, I want to emphasize that it's a score that we're getting here in March. We still have 6 weeks before we take the actual test, and there's a lot that you can do to affect that. One thing that you can look at, and this is one part that we have here on the second page, is to start to deconstruct your performance by question. We want to notice what trends you see in your performance and why you're missing points. So here, we would justify the incorrect scores that we got. Maybe if you put C, but the real answer is A, take a second to explain why A is the right answer. It's an open book test. It's all right there. And then for skills covered, yeah, this is an AP classroom, but also think in terms of, hey, did you miss this question because you didn't understand the vocabulary? Did you miss this question because I didn't understand what it was asking, or you second guessed yourself? If we can start to notice trends like that, we can affect change in our performance. And hey, you saw it, man. Something as small as 3 multiple choice questions that you can get correct can all of a sudden earn you college credit versus you now going and having to pay for the class. Keep that in mind as we're working. I don't expect that you sit down today and that you spend hours going through this data. No. At least figure out what your performance was like there and start to use this part to your advantage. Success on the AP test has just as much to do with your effort and your ownership as it does with any of the instruction that I've given. If you don't participate, you don't better yourself, you can't expect to pass. If you have questions, feel free to ask. I'm here.